Okay, folks, we are live, and I am here with the Jabroni from the Loki and Jabroni show. Unfortunately, Loki couldn't join us today.
No, work is work, man. He does his thing, and he's Jay said James Brown was the hardest working man in show business. No, I think Mike honestly is the hardest working man in show business.
Oh yeah, and we got a treat for the folks. Tell them what we got.
Well, a couple weeks ago, Ed tried to turn me on to a particular Netflix series. If you have not seen it, go binge watch the ever-loving snot out of it. It's called 13 Reasons Why. I hedged a little bit. I was working on another episodic television. I hate episodic television. Let me start there. But when it's on demand, it's better and it's worse. The best thing is it's on demand. You can watch it when you want. The worst thing is you binge watch it in 2.5 days and your mind is frazzled. You can't wait for the next season. Mm-hmm. So as I finished up the most recent episode of The Outsiders, Angela and I decided to take a dive in to 13 Reasons Why, and it took us 2.5 days, man, easily. It got me right from the start. I guess we should start at the beginning. Is episode 1, where the main male character is Clay Jensen, young man, works at a movie theater, finds a box of little TDK cassette tapes on his doorstep. And he borrows his dad's boombox, which, by the way, funny scene is when he said, "What's a boombox?" I just wanted to smack him. But then he swipes his buddy's Walkman, and I want to get to that about all his friends in a little while and their musical choices. But he finds out that it's related to Hannah Baker's suicide, and the first tape tells the story of high school jock. That was his name, Justin Foley.
Yeah, Foley.
Yeah. It's nothing, in my opinion. As the tapes went on, you saw a little bit more and more, and I'm sure we'll get to those quickly as we go. I didn't see anything that Foley did on the first tape that was so entirely bad. Yeah, he feigned, hey, he told a story, man. What high school guy didn't? So for me, that first tape was kind of like blase. Like, okay, he's typical high school.
He is.
But again, I think she says it not only in episode 1, but later on when they cover, what's his name there, the rich kid. The way sometimes high schools treat the jocks is that you should just be happy that they're there, and they make your life a better place by having, jock ass number 1 and Bryce Walker. There it is.
Well, let's not to get away from Foley. Let's talk about Foley since he's on the first tape.
Mm-hmm. Sure, go ahead.
The thing with Foley that the worst part of it is not so much what he did. It is high school stuff. The worst part about Foley, and you mentioned this before, is the ripple effect of what he did, and the opinion that it altered for the rest of her classmates. And actually, it's literally the first pebble in a spreading lake.
Or is it the pebble that starts the ripple? Because like we've talked about on the Loki and Jabroni show, all it takes is that one person to drop a pebble. Your job is done. And then there's ripples depending on the size of your toilet, bathtub, lake, swimming pool, whatever. Those ripples go on for a long time.
Well, another thing too, that was like, if I remember right, that was her first kiss with anybody.
Yes, that was.
And that's a big deal for anybody. And then to like do something like that, and it's happened to me with girls where it's like you kiss somebody or you get into somebody and you think things are going somewhere, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, I do that a lot. So we all go through that. So again, it's not even so much a pebble in the lake. That's a fucking rock, a big rock.
Right.
Like,
okay.
Because nobody is ever going to be the first kiss again. It's never going to happen.
No.
So that's something you come to grips with. And Hannah, I think, handles it pretty good at first, but then the rumor just kind of drives home how much of a total jock ass bag Foley really is.
And that comes out later on when they have the tape on his girlfriend. I think her name is Jessica, if I'm not mistaken. And we'll obviously get to that shortly. I know she's somewhere in the middle of these episodes, but each of them I think runs like 47 minutes. Yeah,
average episode.
Yeah. So if it were on live television, you split up the commercials and whatnot. Go ahead.
Do you know what I liked most about this show that actually kept me watching? Because at first I was thinking it was another whiny teen show. Like I don't really feel like I disagree. I don't really feel like there was a snowflake in the bunch. They're all pretty well spoken, fairly decent suburban kids thrown into a really fucked up situation because they didn't quite consider the consequences of their actions.
Okay, and you can also go look through the what do you call it here? Like the cast and the people in the show. They cover almost every demographic you can think of. There's, you know, the loner, there's the gay guy, there's the jock, there's the girl who thinks she's a lesbian but not quite a lesbian. There's angry coffee house chick. There's every demographic in 2016 when it was set that you could possibly think of. They covered every base.
And they stuck it to kid issues. There wasn't any like there was no politics in it, which I really liked. It was about Hannah, the issues and the things that kids deal with in high school. And I like that. That was great. I thought that was fantastic. And that's that was the biggest thing that kept me watching.
Yeah. And about the only thing that was even adult oriented was the language. But then again, who wasn't 15, 16 years old and threw a couple F-bombs here or there?
Yeah. They were like real young adults.
Yeah. And it wasn't like the Dawson's Creek effect where they were speaking so above the audience that you couldn't get a handle on it. Look, Dawson's Creek was meant to be a teen show and it was embraced by the 25 to 35 crowd. Teens didn't want anything to do with Dawson's Creek because they couldn't understand. They weren't living problems that you were living if you were 17 in 1997.
And I gotta say, whoever actually wrote the screenplays for this show, fucking genius. Because
I'm trying to find that information now. It was based on a book, 13 Reasons Why. It was based on a book.
I know that. It was based on a book. Jay Asher and adapted by Brian Yorkie. I think he was a producer. There's like a bunch of writers, I think.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on writing here, but
I'll have to look into that. But whoever did this, it's like they did such a fantastic job. And to like keep it real, like this was a mystery. Like this was kind of a thriller mystery with some subtle public service announcement kind of stuff, and it was really good.
Oh yeah, and how many times, just as a personal question to you, how many times did you episode and you were fired up angry because that can't be the end, I got to get to the next episode like now?
Oh, every episode I was like that. It was like I needed like, and here's the thing, like every person the tapes cover is progressively worse than the other, and it's like wow, like they just, and about the flow of the show is perfect.
Oh, absolutely. And the only one that really didn't get his ass handed to him was Clay.
Right.
But he did, but he didn't. You were saying, go ahead.
With Clay, you know what? We're jumping ahead of ourselves. We should go to the next tape. But before we get to that, Tom, who was the next tape by? Jessica, I think?
Yeah, when her and Jessica.
Oh, Jessica and Alex stopped hanging out with Hannah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was interesting because I've actually been involved in something like that. So that one actually hit home where like people, start dating and then like you're kind of like pushed to the side, or like all your friends are pushed to the side. And
even that, your ideology may change where the thing you like, and with teens it is so day to day or week to week or month to month. But even in the adult world, your ideology switches. Maybe you become a parent. Maybe you just start doing things differently than you did before, and you kind of drift away. He does something that you don't find to be in your best interest, and you hold that against them. Not a good reason to end a friendship, but let's be honest, it happens. But Jessica, they, in my opinion, they became real tight, real fast.
Yep.
Alex, who is the tape after this, is tape 2 side A. When they break up, Jessica basically blames Hannah for it. Right.
Because Jessica, as a character, I've noticed, does not want to take responsibility for anything.
Oh no, and I'm sure we'll get to that later on when we get to what's under the bed.
Yeah, she's damaged goods, and for good reason, but she doesn't actually want to take responsibility for anything. Not even. Not saying she's responsible for what happens later, but she doesn't take responsibility for dealing with what happens and pushes that blame onto Justin.
Yep. Justin got it. And one of the underlying things is that everybody, and if you watch this show, you're going to find out, everybody's pointing their fingers at Clay. Like everybody. Tony, even though he's pointing a finger, he's trying to lead him on. And Tony's a character we'll get to. He seems to be Clay's best friend for years, and another drift apart gimmick, but now here they are again dealing with these tapes left behind by the young lady, Hannah, and Tony's the only one that really sticks with him. Everybody else is just trying to get up this guy's ass. Like, you know what you did, when in reality, he did the least of anybody. Terrible stuff. He didn't do anything terrible. But the only thing he did, and we'll get to that. I'm sorry.
I know why. I think I know why that is, and we definitely will get into that. Let's roll into the next tape so we can keep this going. So next one is Alex, right?
Yep, tape 2,
Alex,
side A, Alex Standall.
He's put a target on Hannah.
Ooh, and in a good place, too. Her ass.
Yes.
He makes the best ass of Liberty High School. How about that? Congratulations.
Yes, and I felt conflicted because while I thought it was appalling, I kind of agreed.
How many times, though, did you sit with your buddies in high school? I'm not absolving anybody's guilt, but, hey, so-and-so's got a real cute ass. Yeah, she does, or whatever. The list, maybe not so, because it was the best and worst. So
it became a problem when somebody actually grabbed it, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bryce did at the store.
Right. That's when you realize it had escalated beyond talk, and that there were certain people that actually felt some kind of entitlement to her ass because it had been shared in that way. And me, I'm big on property rights, and I don't think people that young really understand the concept of property rights. They only know, like, especially in you probably see this in athletes in college and high school. They only know what they've achieved, what the faculty has led them to believe they're entitled to. Mm-hmm. You got schools that will fake grades just to keep athletes on teams and bullshit like that. Essentially they're being handed participation trophies. Even if they've been winning.
But they're at the highest level, exactly.
Right. They're winning games, but they're getting participation trophies in class. And you know that's a bad thing, and that only leads to the type of behavior that Bryce actually engages in, and Justin to an extent.
Right, but where Bryce and Justin will differ is that Justin comes from this busted-ass, drug-addled home where his mother and Flavor of the Week are together. Bryce has got the house with the pool house and the PS4 and the Kung Fu grip, and he's always been led to believe that whatever I want is there for my taking.
Right. Well, with Justin being an all-star jock is all he really has. So, and eventually...
He's got little else.
Right. And eventually, and we'll get into this a little more, it suddenly becomes not enough. When he considers the cost versus the benefit, it's suddenly not enough.
Right.
So that's basically tape 2 side A. So tape 2 side B.
Shutterbug.
Somebody has a stalker. This one was wow.
Oh yeah. Especially for me when she asks on the tape to go to his house and throw the rock through the window.
Right. This is the only one where, and I love the way they executed this. Hannah kind of becomes a little bit of an aggressor. Mm-hmm. And she, she's probably just as equally wrong, but you feel like she's justified. So this is where, I think this is like a turning point where Hannah actually starts going into the dark side. And anybody who watches Star Wars knows what happens when you go to the dark side.
They have cookies.
They have cookies, delicious cookies that cut off your hand.
Tastes like liberty and freedom.
Tastes like your sister when you kiss her.
Only guys from Arkansas will know that one.
But yeah, this was such a good one when he gets, and then Clay. This is a part
with the cell phone shot.
Yeah, this is a part where Clay actually starts to kind of. I think he's setting the tone for his own destiny with this episode.
He really did. He turned the corner and he went from being the welcome mat that everybody's going to step on to, you know what? F you. I'm going to get through this my way and I'm not going to let you push me around anymore.
Right.
He really did. That might have been his coming out party. Like, I'm going to be the man I know I need to be.
Right. But at the same time, though, he's starting to go from, like what he thinks is justice is just revenge.
Right.
Which also I think is setting the tone for a season 2, which I've heard is being worked on as we speak. I know the author of the book got so excited by the TV show and was like, I will write a sequel. Just tell me.
I've heard the same. Yeah.
And they kind of, we're jumping ahead again, but they kind of set it up and we'll get into that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this episode kind of, I've noticed there's a parallel between while listening to the tapes, the journey Hannah goes through and the journey Clay goes through.
Yes.
He literally starts taking the role of Hannah, and which we'll get into a little bit more as it goes on. It's such a great show. I could talk about it for hours. But what is that? Tape 3 Side A?
Tape 3 Side A is Courtney, the young Asianish girl with, I think she's got the 2 gay fathers. Another one of those things that they hit every particular demographic you can find. The picture that leaked that the photo guy took said it was Hannah and Laura, who was the lesbian classmate.
Yeah.
And people just run with it.
Oh yeah. I found this one interesting, with the Hannah character, because she seemed totally unfazed by what happened.
Right.
So it's like Hannah, for lack of I don't know what you'd call her. She just like, so what? I kissed a girl, And
I where you're going with this, I get it. For me, I kept watching until we get to this particular tape. I just thought she did a really great job of blowing a lot of this off. Yes, this has happened. I'm going to put my head down and run forward until, and that's
right.
where I'm.
Exactly. Cause it's like, she just, after it happens, she doesn't give this vibe off like she's gay or bi or whatever. She's just like, I'm not insecure with my sexuality. So whatever, we kiss, big deal. And they ruin that.
Right.
It's just another level of how they just ruin Hannah. And Courtney's the one that does it. And,
right. And in the later part of the episode where, Justin, Alex, and a couple of the other jockasses decide they're going to try to scare Clay, steal his bike. They're going to put him in the car, go like 90 miles an hour. The cop pulls him over. Clay's probably thinking, oh, God, thank you. This is over. It's Alex's dad.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, man, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to be under these guys' thumb.
Yes.
I'm just stuck. And again, another turning point for Clay because he became tougher with each episode.
Yes. Well, he kept getting beat up. I think half the series or 3/4 of it, he's got some kind of black eye or something. I think the only scenes he didn't have a scar were in the flashbacks.
Yes. he had a new and exciting Band-Aid in every freaking episode.
And then he reopened that wound like 3 times. It's like, oh my God, dude, you're going to die.
Tape 3, episode 6 is Tape 3 Side B, which was really confusing for me. Was the Dollar Valentine, and she went on a date with Marcus, the class president.
Yeah.
He was a guy to me that as I'm watching, you get this vibe, straight shooter. You really get the feeling that he might be not one of these linchpins, but as it turns out, there he is, just as screwed up as everybody else.
Yeah, that one was weird and I'm still kind of confused because I'm at the point of like, was he like that because he's like that, or was it because he like that because of everybody else?
Well, I kind of, again, just sticking with this episode, and I'm sure we'll cover it when we get to the particular episode later down the road. I think he was more worried about protecting the image. Yeah. I'm Marcus. I'm the class president. I'm the head of this thing. I'm the head of this thing. This could kill, and he says it, I think it's in this episode, this can kill me academically. This is my shot. Well, you should have thought about that before you did something stupid. But again, entitlement runs crazy with this crowd.
Exactly. I noticed with a lot of the like, again, with the athletes, like nothing's earned. It's all handed to them. And, we haven't, up to this point, we haven't even talked about that jack off principle. Like,
oh yeah. The guy from Wings, Steven Weber.
Steven Weber. He's also in, he was in iZombie. His character died. But he was just appalling in my opinion.
Oh, I know when he is addressing, they had the posters in the rally and whatnot. Yeah, he just came off as very insincere. Like, well, this is my job. I have to say this. Thank you for coming. Goodbye. When he talks to the mother, you're a part of this school community and we appreciate you and this and that. But when she shows up, I think it was the next episode or the episode after, she shows up at a school administration meeting. Well, aren't I a part of the school community? That's what you said to me in your office. And he doesn't say anything back. He just slack job.
No. Oh, I think that was the same episode because she saw the bathroom stuff, right?
Yes, and later on she reveals the bathroom
stuff. She just showed up. It's like, you want to know what happened? Go look at the girls' men's room or whatever. And he just absolutely disgusted me because I know that there's educators like that and whatever, and they all have tenure and you can't get rid of them. It's that fucking public school system. All right, end rant.
Yeah. Okay. And a good rant it was, because we go on to tape 4, side A. This was Zach's tape. He's another jock, but I again, another one where you kind of got glimpses of that entitlement, me type thing, but you got a sense of his soft side as well. In the synopsis here, and I don't quite remember this in the episode, you might be able to help me. Zach sabotages her emotionally. That was the notes in the, where he would leave her a note every day with a bunny, never sign it. Hi, Hannah, you're so beautiful. Right. And then he started taking things out of it so she wouldn't get anythed. So if anybody left her.
And is this the one where Clay keys the car?
Yes, why me on the side.
Yep. Clay keyed the car. This episode was a little slow for me, but yeah. This is another good example of the way they were trying to break Hannah down bit by bit, emotionally, intellectually. They're just trying to break her down. And again,
she kept going forward. Like she sees that he's got the notes from the positivity gimmick, throws them on the ground, and why me? Yelling it out like I am angry. Her balls were coming out. Why me? And he just walks away like the puss that he is.
Right.
And she really does it. Why me? Why do you have to do this to me, especially? That's where I had that. You know how it's going to end, because you see how from the beginning. Hi, I'm the dead girl. Listen to me talk. That episode, I was like, this could have been a turning point for her to just say, everybody.
Right.
And get through it.
Right. But if she did, there would be no, was it tape 4, side B?
That's correct. Welcome to your tape, Ryan Shaver.
Oh, out of all of them, I hate this guy the most.
He was a little pretentious.
I'll say it, and I'm not advocating Bryce at all, but I hate this guy for what he did, because I don't know if you've ever kept a journal or written down something that wasn't really meant for everybody to say, but when you have like private thoughts ripped from you and put on display like that, which I have, that is just, it's a different kind of mental rape. It's like fucking horse shit.
Say that again?
Horse shit.
I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, and I've never really kept a journal or written my thoughts. I never had a blog online. When I was doing writing for a website, I had people steal my material and it would go to another website. Our editor would get it yanked down, whatever.
Intellectual property, yeah, but
worked on that. I went into those locker rooms and talked to these athletes, and you're passing it off as if you wrote it? No, fuck.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I've written stuff down that I was just trying to vent. Like I used to do that a lot, like grab the pencil and just vent and stuff like that. And I've had people like blow my spot up and like, oh, you're a fucking psychopath, blah blah blah. And I was like, whatever, it was your mom, dude. But I'm just like, especially I'm not saying like girls are weak or anything, but they do stuff like that. They write their thoughts down because what they're thinking and what goes to their head is usually very important to them. And
I live in the deep end of the estrogen pool, man. There's Angela, Madison, Emma, Rhiannon, Kylie, the 3 guys, man. We just hole ourselves up in our rooms and pray we don't get beaten on a daily basis. But seriously, women are by nature, and I'm not saying this to be rude, they're emotional creatures. They certainly have.
No, it's not negative. Like their thoughts are important to them.
They certainly have more, I don't want to say touchy-feely, but they're more in tune with their feelings and who they are than men. And to a young lady, especially one that's already on the brink, you can see it starting to crack in this episode, just completely over the edge.
Yeah, and Ryan is just an opportunist, just a sick opportunist. I don't really think he even cares about the poetry. He doesn't care about the art of it.
And he said it at the end of the episode when the principal said, we're shutting this down. I publish this on my own, but you distribute it on school property. This was going to take me to college. Well, it still can now.
Right. But you know what's funny? By then, it's too late. It's too late by then. The damage is already done. Like I said, that's what I'm saying. That principal and the counselor, we haven't talked about him at all. Everything they do throughout the whole show is too little, too late.
I think it's Mr. Porter was his name.
Yeah. And
he pops up in every episode, guys. And we get to him a little while. Mr. Porter just seems wishy-washy. Not the kind of, Miss Antilli was the former counselor that everybody loved. And comes Mr. Porter, and look, I'm not saying this to make fun of him. He's an African-American guy, but he was vanilla. Giving you probably reading it from a script out of a book,
That
100 ways to counsel. Yeah, 100 ways to counsel a high school kid. Well, maybe you should think about confronting them and telling them how you feel. Robotic.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you see his personal conversations with his wife too, and you're kind of torn because it's like, well, this is a guy that wants to help, but he doesn't know what to say. So everything is rehearsed and practiced, and it's all everything he learned in college. And, and here's the thing, like learning this kind of stuff in college is great. Practical application takes work. Understanding the human psyche takes work. And whoever wrote this show understands the human psyche. So
absolutely.
Let's roll right into the next one. Ryan Shaver's a cocksucker. Sure. Let's move on.
All right. We're at tape 5, side A, which is
Hannah witnesses Bryce raping an unconscious and intoxicated Jess. Here's where the show starts to get
saucy.
I was going to say scandalous, but
I'll take it. This is Justin Foley part 2, by the way.
Yeah, he was part of it.
And this was his second tape.
And we should say this, the first trigger warning of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and after this episode, I was like, God, you finally understand the level of, you understand why Jessica's so fucked up. You understand why Justin is so fucked up. But Bryce, it's like he's stone cold killer throughout the whole show. Like he doesn't even acknowledge that anything he's done is that big a deal. It's like either he doesn't, I don't know if it's that he doesn't care or he literally has no concept of the empathy.
I think it goes back to, again, it's the rich kid syndrome or the jock syndrome where anything I do is righteous and good. And if you go against me, well, you're obviously wrong. Unfortunately, that permeates a lot of what happens today where maybe you're the popular kid or maybe you're whatever you are. You're wrong about everything. I'm untouchable. You can't tell me I've done something. You can't tell anybody that's done anything wrong nowadays. It's in Bryce and Justin. It's that star athlete mentality.
Well, you know what? I do think affluenza plays a part in this, but I genuinely don't think Bryce accepts that anything he's done has been wrong. I mean, you just look at the way he reacts when he's confronted. He's always like, come on, it's me. Come on,
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. It was the first step into what Bryce really is as a character, and it was frightening.
Yeah, and we are 3 tapes away from finding out what Bryce really is. One thing about this episode, and I'm reading in the synopsis now, is that Marcus still keeps coming at Clay like a bully.
Yes.
Not just warning him about the tapes that the worst is yet to come, but he's like, I'm trying to help you. There are bad things that are going to happen to you. Again, it's that gangland, not so much gangland, but it's the gang mentality of the jocks together. Yeah, we're gonna solve this. It's gonna go down.
I can't wait till we get to Clay's tape because you understand why all of them ganged up on him.
Mm-hmm.
And
but first, we get to visit who I thought was a really interesting character. And I thought they would go further with it, is Sherry, the young lady that was getting help from Clay in an assignment. This is all after the fact.
Yeah, I thought she was one of the good ones, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
She stayed sober at a party and they really were painting her as wants to have fun, but wants to get through school without any problems, doing the right thing kind of thing. And she turned out to be phony.
Yeah, it started with the texting and driving. They knock over the stop sign. Hours later, Jeff, the kid who's always, trying to get Clay to come out of his shell and be cooler around girls, is the victim of a car accident because there's no stop sign.
No stop sign. And
old man doesn't see it. Jeff's crossing the road. Bada bing. No more Jeff. So now you have 2 deaths pretty much back to back. Obviously, Hannah is still alive when this happens. And then within the span of however many weeks or days this covers, now you have Jeff is gone, Hannah's gone. So now the school is really in turmoil.
Right. And this episode in particular, too, is another stake in Hannah's mental well-being because now she feels responsible for someone's death.
That scene where she tries to go because that's his friend. Mm-hmm. I need to tell you something about the night Jeff died. And he's like, dude, stop. Why do you always have to get in the middle of this drama? Mm-hmm. Is this about you? Are you making this about you? And he just did not listen.
Right. That was the only time. Well, that's one thing where Clay went wrong. But at the same time, though, given to where he's been on this emotional yo-yo with Hannah, it was like it was kind of a knee-jerk response to everything he was going through.
Right.
But we'll get to Clay even more. The juicy stuff is coming.
Yep, and it's coming up now because tape 6, side A, Clay Jensen. Let's see. Clay Jensen gets this tape for leaving Hannah at her request after they almost had sex.
Right.
Hannah notes that Clay does not deserve to be on the tape. She confesses the admiration and like for him, but it was necessary to add him for the reasons she did because he was important to what happened. She wants him to know. Again, this is going back to, you and I were both teenage guys. There is an awkwardness. Not everybody has the Bryce Walker stamp of confidence. There are sometimes we just, even probably now, we just don't pick up those little subtle signs that, this is actually happening. This could happen to you. This woman is all up into you, but you're completely oblivious. And that was Clay. Clay did not see what the rest of us saw each and every episode. It's like, she wants to be his girl. He's just thinking, this is just a girl that's nice to me, and I'm digging it.
This is an important tape in respects to everybody else that was going after Clay, because this was the tape, because they all heard the tapes before him. I think we should mention that. We didn't mention that. Everyone else has already heard all the tapes. They listened to them all at once. Clay's the only one that took his time with them, and they keep bringing that up throughout the whole series. Like, why is he taking so long?
Well, there was one that didn't, and he is the subject of another tape, 2 tapes from now.
Oh, right.
Clay was second to last.
Right.
And then there's the other.
Clay made that tape.
Oh, not that very last tape. I'm talking about the last tape Hannah made, tape 7, which we're 2 away from. We are almost there, man. Because
Clay would have had to give those tapes to him.
Right, and then
we'll get to that. We'll get that. We're jumping ahead, but this is a tape where everyone else who has heard them already understands that Clay was in love with Hannah, and Hannah kind of had feelings for him. Clay didn't really hurt her like they did. So at that point, Clay is the most likely to turn the tapes over to the powers that be. Plus, the last tape, which we'll get to, most likely Clay would give those tapes to that person, and then everything would self-destruct. So,
because if they can stop him before tape 7, side A, which is the very last tape, 13th side, if it doesn't reach that destination,
right,
everything is like, again, let's sweep it under. Let's forget it all happened.
But keep in mind too, during the whole episode, you notice they don't try to take the tapes from or do whatever. They tell him not to listen to his tape. It's the worst. They just didn't want him to hear his tape
because he would then find out I have less to do with this than anybody.
Right. And also, which moving forward, infamous, tape 6, side B.
Ooh, welcome, Bryce Walker. Yes, indeed. This is where everything, I think it happened in the first 10 minutes. You see all the progression, you see everything happen, and then you're like, this is it. This was the linchpin. This was the breaking point. If you've not watched this show yet, and you want to stop now, I tell you.
This is uber spoilers here.
Yep. Wait until you've seen these episodes, then come back to the YouTube channel, watch this presentation, and hear what we have to say. So we'll give you about 3 seconds to hit the pause button or get the hell out, and then we'll go on.
3 horseshit, 2 horseshit, 1 horseshit. Okay.
All right. So Bryce is an asshole and rapes Hannah in a hot tub.
Oh my God. And Hannah is so emotionally broken down from everything that's happened up to that point. She can't fight him. She just,
you hear college girls use the expression, the walk of shame, walking home the next day in the same clothes. But look, let's be honest, college people, that's not a walk of shame. You went out, you had a good time. You made a decision for yourself to have this good time. And so you're in the same clothes the next morning. So what? What this young lady went through on her walk home, Hannah, after this was 100% the walk of shame. One other thing before we get too deep into the rape is that this was where earlier, a couple episodes before, they plant weed on Clay to get him a 3-day suspension. Now Clay goes to Bryce saying, I want to buy some weed. Oh, I didn't know you did this. And he starts to record him.
Right.
This is where it gets good. I'm going to let Ed take over.
Yeah, Clay does what I think the whole group was afraid of. And he essentially, during this whole interlude, he pretty much gets Bryce to confess to raping. Probably the only time in his entire life that Bryce has ever owned up to everything. Because the whole time is the usual shit. Oh, they asked for it. They like it. Then finally it's like,
he says that.
He says that. And it's like, and comes down to him saying, so what? I raped them. So they probably liked it anyway. Like, it's just no empathy.
She wanted it.
Right. No empathy, no feeling. He's a stone cold killer type,
And that out when Clay confronts him and Clay says something like, you did this. As he's going through the whole, she wanted it, she this and that and the other thing. Again, the shit out of him.
Yeah, I was going to say, we should point that out. Clay allows himself to get beat for Hannah.
Mm-hmm.
And
he took that way, like a man. He never swung. He took that one swipe. That's it. I want to get my point across.
We should mention Clay's friend again.
Jeff?
Yeah, the one that gave him the tapes, or the one
Tony.
Tony, like, because before Clay even listens to his tape, Tony's with him when he listens to his tape, I think, because he wants to be there when he hears it. And he
took him to the Rock, and
he pretty much says to him, like, he asked Tony, am I the reason Hannah Baker killed herself? And Tony just looks at him like straight in the eye. He says, we all are. And Clay, at that moment when he's like dealing with Bryce, it serves two purposes. It's kind of symbolic. One, he's exposing a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
Two, he's sacrificing himself, as in, I've done wrong. This is my penance.
Oh, absolutely. I saw it the same way.
And it's like, oh man, it's like this guy. I mean, he's a teenager and he's going to grow up to be something great. Unless something happens in season 2, but
right.
But
in development now, man. In development now, from what I read.
But I was like, wow, it was intense. That was a very, very intense episode. And it even got more intense going into the next one, which was the final tape Hannah Baker had made.
Correct.
With tape 7 side A.
Tape 7 side A, Mr. Porter. It's the last tape. She looked for help to Mr. Porter, tells him about the rape without saying who was responsible. The counselor replies that she has no chances of being taken seriously, and insists just basically continue with your life as nothing had happened. Back to that jock mentality.
Well,
continue. And I got to stop because it's not to be a star student, top of the food chain as far as grades are concerned. This is the way they're treated, and they take it. A lot of them take it into adult life where, so you can't touch. I'm never wrong. The conversation tape, and she gets her house in order. She turns in her uniforms at work. She does this, she does that. And then he bleeding out in the bathtub with slit wrists. Mom finds her.
If you haven't watched it, they show it. So if you're squeamish about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude.
Yeah, they went full Monty with this show.
I can watch autopsy, but I cannot watch someone hurt themselves. I mean, fights a week ago, watching guys pound the snot out of each other. But watching this was difficult. I did. I turned my head. I'm not ashamed to say it. This episode that really got to me was, the mom walks in and finds the daughter. You're a stepdad.
It's every parent's worst nightmare.
Question. But later on in the episode, Clay goes to Mr. Porter. Here's the second part of the episode that bothered me. Fashion. If it were me, I wouldn't have given him tape to listen to later. I would have sat down, hit play, let it roll, and have him listen to what she was trying to tell him before all this went down.
Well,
stone-faced.
There was a reason for giving him to the counselor. One, the counselor, it was his turn to get the tapes. And two, the counselor it's not like the principal would have done anything. The principal probably would have hid the shit. Like, I really believe that. He was like such a scumbag. And the counselor, you could tell by his tears, realized he had fucked up and wanted to make it right. So he probably would have made the right choice. So yeah, then
here's the stuff that is hopefully there is going to lead into it. Some of the fallout is Alex Standall shoots himself in the head. They say he's not revealed if he survives. Justin leaves town, guilt over not telling Jeff, but not before telling Bryce. Tyler, photographer guy, is hiding gunnish in his room. I'm smelling a Columbine type thing coming.
And
Clay
those photos.
Yep. All the ones he had different people hanging in the dark room. Yeah. And especially of Hannah. Let's see. What else do we got? Clay reaches out to the angry coffee house chick. Hey, can we be friends? Noticed that she had scars on her wrists as well.
Yeah. They lead on throughout the whole series that those two were actually closer at one point and drifted apart.
But
I think
you never know. They don't tell us anything.
Yeah, they mentioned little bits and pieces, and I think at that point, Clay, after everything he's gone through, was like, you know what, I can't abandon another person. You know, who cares who walked away from who? You know, let's just walk back.
Right, and that's basically why, in a nutshell. And if there was anything personal I could add is if you have a preteen boy or girl, doesn't matter, from the age of 11 to say 16. Sit them down and watch this. You can get past the language. Again, I got Kylie on video last night saying hell yeah, but she swears she didn't, and that's hush. And kids say stupid things, and we all did, and I think, you know, it's part of why some of us use the word fuck like a cunt, because we've said it all our lives from the time we were in a young age, but especially with this show, it really brings to light, look, bullying is going to happen wherever you go. And in a lot of cases, I think bullying makes you a stronger person. In this case, this girl was broken down brick by brick by brick. And everybody saw it. And until those tapes hit, thought the wiser that, oh, I had a hand. Not one.
One thing I got to throw out too. One thing I got to throw out too before we close this out, I just got to say the soundtrack for the show was really good. I was hearing some really. There were some modern versions of classic teen movie songs that were thrown in, and including one towards the end that I think John Hughes has used many times. And that's what I was thinking of the whole time I was watching that show. And I was like, you know what? If John Hughes was alive in a different
Hughes movie,
it would have been at a different time, and he could have gone away more edgy stuff, and he stuck with kind of the Breakfast Club kind of movies. I think he would have done this show.
I want to know who had the obsession in the writing team or in the creative team with Joy Division, because not only was Tony a fan, Alex was a fan, everybody listened to Joy Division. What the?
I'd have to read the book. Out. It could be in the book.
But finish that. The one sentence that I had is, every kid in America watched this beginning to end. Just for the, but to let them know, you know, life is not bad. Life is happened to you. It's how you deal with them. And it goes back to that ripple effect. You know, Hannah killing her, the end of her pain, but that pain lingers and it continues. One thing, you may be done with it then.
Right. Exactly. And, stop going to shitty coffee shops. All right. Let's wrap this.
On the menu.
Let's wrap this up so that, we can maybe get this on the podcast feed. Folks, thanks for joining us. Hopefully we'll do this again, maybe another, bonus episode or maybe a spin-off show where we just, dissect a show, a movie, or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely. And thank you personally, Ed, for turning us on to this show. I'm glad I took the time out for it.
This is like one of those Netflix shows where it lives up to the hype it's been getting. Keep it real.
Good. I'm going to put me on. Now I'm going to have to give you the Outsiders DVD.
All right. I'm Eddie Focus. This is the Jabroni, and we'll see you this Monday.
Yes, we will. Thanks, guys.